All right, hey, good morning, folks. We're going to start a new painting today. This is the last Bob Ross style painting that we had created for the Karrnath for the Eberron adventure that we're producing. We're going to make another Bob Ross style painting today. Give me a second here. I'm going to check my signal, make sure everything's coming through clear, kick my social media posts real fast, and then we're going to start it on a new composition. So here's me just checking my signal here real quick, make sure I'm coming through okay. And here's me just checking my signal here real quick. Sounds like I'm coming through a-okay. So let me drop that out of the way there so I can grab the post, and we're going to post this on the social media real fast. Check, and then check, and almost done. And then, so my name is Phil Karrnath. Hey, I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish online, and I have been creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition on the DMsGuild since 2018. I've been a DM running D&D games since 1987, and I've been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004, but I haven't created anything for Eberron on the DMsGuild yet, and I haven't actually published an original adventure on DMsGuild yet either. I've done some translations, like Lada's Araxis, for instance, and I helped with the Chronomancer's Guide, Adventures in Chronomancy supplement that's on DMsGuild. Had some adventure content, as well as the Odyssey anthology for Theros adventuring. I did work on that as well, but I haven't actually created my own piece off myself. Hey, how you doing, Fernando? So yeah, so we're gonna get into work here. My social media is done, so let me just wrap up my intro by flipping my screen around and saying, hey, if you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of other books I've created on the DMsGuild for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition so far. Here's our full playlist of 502 episodes for you to dig through, and here's my social supports if you're interested in being involved. And let's see, that's yeah. Well, I'll drop this to the background, and then we'll queue up. Again, here's the painting that we finished in the Karrnath recently. I like how it turned out, and we're going to get rid of that. Here's the book cover that we created back around episode 40 that you'll see on the DMsGuild once it's published. This is about the rack, the wall of options. This is how big it'll appear on the wall, and then of course you can zoom in and open up the book and look at all the stuff. So no, I don't want to say that. So okay, great. So this is page 95. This is looking at the variants for there's 6 different plot lines in the adventure, and one of them is that your characters have family and friends that invite you to stay in the region, to pick up a farming home as a crash house, or to retire from adventuring if you want. And then, so for whatever reason, your team decides to come visit, and there's an undead menace that needs to be resolved. So, hey, what's up? In Panic, I have to make a one shot with half the time that I originally had to create. Oh man, that's. I feel for you, my guy. I feel for you. Let me grab this. You are allowed to panic over that, but let the panic just simmer, and then you can move through it. I think all of this is gonna fit. I'm thinking I want to rearrange the text. Oh yeah, this absolutely fits. I'm thinking I wanted to rearrange this text so that I have just a solid 2-column block here, just to make a normal. What would this be? Like a 9-inch tall, 10-inch wide canvas space. I kind of like. Actually, it wouldn't be 10-inch because this is going to drop down over here. So, Felix, man, I wish you good luck in your endeavor, my dude. That is. I mean, I guess depending on what degree of polish it needs, I know you can do it. here. Yes. That actually fits pretty much perfectly. Yeah, as though like this was what was supposed to happen. Don't you love how that works out? Like you have no idea what you're supposed to fucking do, and then all of a sudden it just magically works out. That is God's work, my friends. Oh my God, look at that. Look how perfectly this is all just lining up. Oh, God, that's gorgeous. I do need to center it properly, though. Center. Good. And then grab this. All right, now we have a proper. I'm going to merge that group as text. So now we have proper framing. So this painting that we need to do now is 10 inches wide, and I don't know, eyeballing it like maybe 6.5, maybe 7 inches, so 10 by 7, something like that. Hey, right on. Well, hopefully I can. If there's anything I can pontificate about or ramble on regarding, I am open to you calling a subject. I have an adventure today with my home team. I have a home team. I have 3 D&D groups that I participate in. 1 I play, 2 I run. I play in Curse of Strahd every other week, and we're currently just about level 7 now. And I have a playtest team that I run new content on, like new adventures and so like new books that I'm publishing. We have to playtest this shit to make sure it works. So I have a playtest team that we run with on Saturdays in the morning, and then I have my quote-unquote home team, which are co-workers. I play D&D with my co-workers at work once a week at lunchtime. It's a 1 hour session. It's a very Shadow Dark Beckme style light system, so it's mostly narrative, very much driven by basically improvisation and create and improving, and like Beckme style, like the players create the solution. You don't look to your character sheet. There's very limited resources that the characters have as you know on the character sheet, but they're open to coming up with ideas and being innovative however they please. So that's the driving. So it just basically helps tweak our creative juices, and it's fun. We have a pool of 6 players, and we'll play with at least 3, and of course we'll take up to 6. And I run that campaign on Wednesdays at lunchtime. So that's this week right now, and they are currently exploring. It's an Eberron Spelljammer asteroid. It's an asteroid belt mining campaign where they're running a mining corporation that's extracting minerals and wealth from the asteroids that are in orbit around Eberron. And their current adventure is elementals occupy a current rock of mithril that they found. So they need to clear the elementals from the asteroid for them to be able to go in and properly extract the wealth. So it's basically a dungeon delve against elementals, and they once we get through the adventure, I can tell you guys what actually happens. But I'm looking forward to how they proceed with that. So there's some mountains there. We're just basically working on composition. I already have some mountains that we have. Tree line here for the Karrnwood in the background. That's important. But towards the foreground, we have like a farmhouse here in the distance. Yeah, the team, in the playtest team, they encountered a Lithid style Neogi. It's a Neogi, which are like eel spiders, like spider bodies, eel neck and head instead of a spider's head. They encountered an Elithified Neogi. So instead of being an eel's face, it had the tentacles on the front of it. But it still had the Umber Hulk mounts. So 3 Umber Hulks. It was a team of 6. It was a 6-level team. There was 4 of us. And there was 3 Umber Hulks and an Illithid. And they ended that fight in about 5 rounds without any fatalities. But it was close. And so now they know that there's a Illithid further down in the dungeon. And they found the Myconid colony, and they're also getting into so there's a phase spider lair, there's a Myconid colony, and then there's roaming Illithid. Those are like the 3 major threat points inside the playtest campaign right now, and I'm excited to see what they choose to do to resolve that space. But it's just a dungeon crawl, so they can run around and they can find things as they please and make their own decisions. And they just got to level 7, so they before taking on the Myconid colony or the phase spider lair, they retreated back to town to re-equip, level up, and then go in with with either new characters or new level of power for their current characters to try to resolve that threat. So okay, so we're looking at farmland right now, and I don't have a map on hand, but basically there's Karrnath, there's I forget the name of the mountain range here, and then there's the Carnwood, and then there's like say Ader and Ader Academy, there's Fort Bastion, there's another mountain range down here, and then like over here is Moorhold, and down here is the Talenta Plains. Shoreline is here into the Northern Sea. The capital's off this way. The Mournland is off this way. But all of this is basically just Great Plains grassland. So out of the here's your established pathing. The Tether, I think, is the name of the town. That's here. And then railway goes down like this. So this huge swath is just grasslands that is now open for being farmed, because it's obviously it's grassland, so it's got good growth. Villages have been popping up here from soldiers that have swords of plowshares, retired soldiers, and refugees that have been displaced are basically establishing new farming communities along the edge of the Carnwood, which is where our adventure takes place. At the end of the adventure, the area is secured and safe for people to continue to expand and grow their villages. So I wanted to make, for this plot hook in particular, since the whole point is that your characters have been invited to to settle here, I thought it'd be a smart idea to have a map or an illustration that depicts there. I need to fix this real quick. Hold on. My balance was off. There you go. That's proper framing. So the perspective is from here towards the mountains, basically this is this is where the adventure took place, so I want to depict the adventure from a further distance across the grassland. That's the idea. So that's our frame of reference. Now I'm working on a composition. Oops. So mountains, that's a good frame. We got nothing but grassland going on down here, so I feel like we need to have some sort of like ridge disruption. I feel like I want to have like a copse of trees over here. Do like that. I don't want to box it in too much because I want to be able to really just lean into the expanse of it. So maybe this, maybe we can take this and frame it like that over there. Copse of trees, some shrubbery over here. That doesn't feel so bad. And the Karrnwood continues. Off stage that way, and then we have all of this open terrain. This is just open terrain, and it's just very, I don't know, we'll have, I guess if we can pull off some sort of, hold on, thinking about it. Could have a ridge. It's a frame of reference. I'm gonna bring that down here to create, I like having shrubbery in the foreground because it's a fun way to show off the texture. Like with this piece here, let's see, we're breaking the frame here and create, we're framing the environment, but also having a bottom edge that's defined by the shrubbery. So that's a common technique to have shrubbery breaking the borders, and so I think I want to do something similar to that. But meadows is the general vibe that I want. So maybe working it in layers, because it's good. There's gonna be maybe it's not notable like hill lands, but there is going to be a natural depression from the mountains into the heartland. I mean, that's how mountains work. So I think I can probably get away with cascading, like a rippling, like a land ripple effect, like something like this, like mountains and then hill land here, and then it flattens out into just Great Plains. So I think I can probably get away with that. We're at the bottom edge of the hill area, like where the Karrnwood pours down through, it levels out into the plains. So I think an elevation change isn't unwarranted. I like having streams or some sort of a work flow through, but I'm not necessarily seeing it in this composition. So I don't think, let's get rid of this. Instead, stay on task here. We have the forest here, distant Karrnwood here, and we have grassland here. We got homestead here. Oh, so we can put like a road in through here. Grassland here. We have this knoll that we're working with here. And this can have shrubbery. I think you just have like some rosemary bushes or some short pines. I could do evergreens. I could do deciduous. We'll see what kind of. I'm feeling more of like a rosemary sort of affair, which is like an evergreen tall brush. That I think that's a decent enough composition. So I want to drop the elevation a little bit to get a little bit more skyline in. But I think sky, mountains, Karrnwood, homestead, path, first ridge. Grassland, a second ridge, grassland, third ridge, foreground, shrubbery with rosemary. And that should probably be decent enough. So that's where we'll go from. So let's keep this in mind as our general composition. So we're going to call this comp. Check out our references here real quick. Oh, there's a map. Yeah, here's our village. Here's Fort Bastion. Here's the Karrnwood. The mountains are off screen. Ice Vale. No, Ice. Is it Ice Vale River? Ice something. I can't remember the name of it. And here is the structure that we use for the homestead. Here and here. And here's some of that hilliness that we can borrow into to get some green going on with this. Just want to grab these three. Pull these over here. How's our sky looking up here? There's a very blue sky. Okay, I want to get a nice looking blue sky with big puffy clouds. So I'm gonna go on the interweb real quick and go fetch blue sky, fluffy clouds. Let's copy this one. Yeah, because we got some terrain down here. That's good. Okay. Yeah, well let's use. I think this is this the same? Let's check our blue. Almost identical sky. Okay, that's gonna be good lighting. Hey, Badlands National Park pictures might be some alt references. Well, hi Matthew. Badlands National Park. Okay. Baldlands. Badlands National Park. Ooh. Let's check this one out. Ooh, this is pretty cool. The mountains aren't useful because we already have our mountains picked out. But I think we can. I like this one. Let's use this. I'm going to use this as general background, and then I think we can take some of the puffy clouds from here. I think these have good reference because there's some really good color separation here that we might want to borrow into. So thanks for the suggestion, Matthew. Appreciate it. Let's just start with our let's start top down. So we'll go with that, and then we're gonna drop down the horizon. Yeah, so we'll go from this blue over here in the corner of the RGB slider. We'll use this as the higher at the top of the top of the picture, and then we'll drop this down below the mountain. So we'll have a transition here to here. I don't see color, so the RGB slider up in the corner is my color vision. And then as a trained artist myself, I focus, obviously I'm only going to focus on the gray, which means I'm focusing specifically on contrast. So, hey, what's that? Some of it's arid, but some touches the plains. No, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. It's showing how the sky would look as it breaks across mountains, which is what we want. So I'm really good with that. I think it's a good choice. I think you steered us in the right direction, and I appreciate it. So let's pop this open and then grab them and drop them down into the reference folder here. We have our base colors that we want. Yeah, totally, my man. Thank you. So let's start at the beginning. I imported the sky, the mountains, and the hill from the Karrnath painting that we did. Let me get these guys. Out of the way. So, but you can barely see it through the forest, because that's how Bob Ross paintings work sometimes. You lose the mountains, but we know they're back there. But since we still have them, we can directly use them. So I can just literally cut and paste these mountains into the piece. But I have to change the sky, since after the adventure is over, it's less dreary. We want to show hope and sunshine, right? Because you're victorious. This is our victory lap page. So get that stuff out of the way. And basically concluding the adventure, your heroes, continuing the campaign, you now have dominion over this region. So that's how it works out. So I wanted to inject some hope and joy, which I think is symbolically represented by blue skies. So under that, I'm gonna conceal the filigree for now, and we're just gonna drop this shit in, and let's just get to work. I do not care if I paint over the color over the text right now. In fact, it's better that I do, so we can bleed the edges and have it fade into the piece, so that there's overextending the border is going to help us. So we have that base color there, and then we're going to drop the sky in like this underneath it. This is generally how I run. So I'll have two tones. We'll have the darker top. It's generally darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. That's just kind of how the sky works. I mean, ultimately it turns black at the highest elevation, and it just runs into dirt at the bottom. That's just how our world works. Now we got our fat cloud brush here. I'm gonna drop its opacity down to like around 30%. And just using Bob Ross style of blending, this is all just off of PBS. Just gonna work it into the canvas here, doing little crisscrossies, little circle blurs. But my ultimate goal is to have basically a smooth gradient going from top to bottom. There. I'm gonna put the mountains in next to create a frame for the sky. There we go. Just takes a little bit of. I'm gonna drop it down to 20% just to make it that much lighter to pull on the color or on the canvas. Now I'm working up into the sky. And now I'm pulling down from the sky. I'm just going back and forth right now, just like he does with his paint, like he does with his long brush, his 2-inch brush, just blending in back and forth. And the smudge being only at 20% drags only a little bit of pixels from one pixel to the next. Only 20% of that information gets transferred. So as you wash back and forth like this, it homogenizes your pixel distribution, so it ends up being a fairly smooth gradient like that. There, not bad. Yep, and it's preserved. Now I'm going to up it to 50% and just drop it further. So I'm just going to fade it into the canvas. We're just using, it's just an off-white canvas base color. Here, check it out. It's 255 is 100% white, so it goes from 0 to 255. That's your gamut range. And this one is 238, 240, 232. So it has a very mild green, red, blue is de-emphasized. So that being the base color, but it's so close to white that it doesn't really make much of a difference. I like to think that the spirit of that color distribution works well because the ground has a sort of green default to it, you know, like with plants and shit. But I don't want a white. You don't want a white background because it's hard on the eye. To stare at text with a pure white background. I mean, you've looked at the internet. It's rough. So you want to have just a little bit of a relaxed cream-like color, just to take the edge off of the contrast. And I don't use black. Like here, I've got it's 40, 40, 40, so it's like a very dark gray, but it's not black. And the actual body of the text, you can see here, it's 120. So sorry, 102, 102, 102. It's technically 100. So it's very relaxed on the eye. It's designed to make it easier for you to read the text, and it's also a 12-point font. So it's like, again, if we look at the full screen setup here on your digital display, your tablet, your phone, it's very large text. It's very, very easy to read. So you want to make it. You don't want like the 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons book, like with its 9-point font and lines separating everything. It's like, oh, that is difficult to read. Like, it was exhausting reading that text because it was too condensed. Too dense is just the word I wanted to use, not condense. Condense is the act of making something dense. You want to make it easy. You want to ultimately reward your reader by giving them something fun to read. But most importantly, you don't want to punish them for trying. That's really important. I think I probably emphasized that point enough now. I'm going to do some crisscross X's to drag this down a little bit. Again, I just want to drag this color down into the canvas. Although it's probably going to get clipped like up here. I just want to extend it down to be able to get some pigment in this space. So we dropped our X's. Now we're going to just wipe back and forth, 2-inch brush style. It's not as fast. This process, this digital process, isn't as quick as the wet on wet method on a real canvas that Bob would use on PBS, but it works pretty good. There, now I'm just going to take the edge off just a smidge by using a filter. I'm going to use a blur. I'm going to use a Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur is designed to diffuse and yeah, to diffuse pixels. Now that we Gaussianed, we can further just work this into there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now let's grab some mountains and some hills. Don't think I want the hills. Definitely want the mountains. Yeah, I'm not 100% on the hills. Mountains are feeling pretty good though. So let's get that out of the way. See, I have that hard border edge. That's not going to work. So I want to soften that edge. So let's peel open our mountain range. Bloop, bloop. Let's grab our... let's grab a guitar pick. Let's drag that out. I'm just gonna push pixels. I like pushing pixels. I like smudging. I like using the smudge brush in general. I like the tactile feel of dragging the pixels. It's like finger painting to me. It's a very relaxed process. I'm gonna take our cloud brush and smudge this in. See that little wisp that we have going on inside there? That's important to me. That's something I want to protect. I like that little degree of separation that adds just a little bit of volume to the mountain range. It keeps it from flattening out. Because you can see that like this is closer than this and it's closer than this. So we're creating this structure that has that operates inside this three-dimensional space. It's a small subtle point, and it's probably going to get lost in the details as we go. But it's establishing a baseline for us to know, what we're looking at, where it's at, blah blah blah. I'm going to work this into the canvas as well. Just going to up the size of my brush a little bit. Blend to win. Could technically have some more stuff going on like this. Again, I want to have that line of separation there to push it back. Like this is never going to get seen because it's going to get blocked off by the text. But I wanted it back here because I think that's a good looking mountain range. So might actually pull it to the left a little bit, pull it to the right just to bring a little bit more of this into the piece. because I like this. That feels really to me. So we're just gonna work this again. We're just working this into the canvas, just crisscrossing and blending, pushing down. Good. That's what we wanted. I love doing terrain. I love environments. I was trying to fall asleep last night, and I was wondering, like, what am I supposed to do tomorrow? And my brain immediately came back. It's like, you love doing paintings. You love doing environments. You could do Bob Ross stuff for months. I did nothing but Bob Ross paintings for an entire year back in 2017. When I was learning how to use these techniques, all I did was Bob Ross paintings. So I absolutely love it. It connects me with being like when I was 5 years old, watching Bob Ross in the morning before Saturday morning cartoons, playing with Legos, and the Castle series, the Knights and Castles set for Legos had just come out, like in 1980, 81 is when they were just bringing those things in, and me and my sister, we just immediately fell in love with them. And oh god, it was so much fun. So making castles and knights and stuff like that, like Monty Python was playing on HBO, so that was my first experience with Monty Python and Search for the Holy Grail. Was in 1980 as well, and it was just that time period pretty much just locked me into wanting to do medieval stuff, which just naturally curved into D&D. The D&D cartoon was on as well. Like I'd get up at 6:30 to watch Bob Ross and to start playing with Legos, and then at 7:30 on ABC, the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon would come on, and I'd watch that, and I fell in love with that. So when I was 12, my 12th birthday, my parents were like, you always liked the D&D cartoon, so we figured you might like this D&D game. See if you like it. And oh boy, did I ever. I really liked that D&D game. So, 38 years later, here I am right now. But yeah, it takes a little bit of time to ramp up to get this to get the mountain range going. That's just, it's not as fast as Bob because the digital techniques are a little bit different. I could be more aggressive with the brush to force the pixels down faster, but I'm just enjoying the process. This is so meditative for me. It really just, I mean, once you understand the techniques and you utilize them, it's just so effortless. If you all these brushes that I use are on my they're on my Patreon. All you have to do is follow. You don't have to be a paying subscriber to get them. Just follow me, and you'll get access to the most recent Patreon post, which is this brush set. There's like 17 brushes in total. Here's the brushes I use: the hard round, soft round. I rarely use the soft round, but it's there. The smudge chalk, the smudge cloud brush that you saw me using, the guitar pick that you saw me pushing pixels around the mountains. I will be using the mountain chisel and the mountain razor here in a few moments to make this rough topography. The conifer foliage brush, which I use extensively in the Carnwood Forest. The conifer tips, which we used. The foliage texture brush, which is where a bulk of our hedges came from. Fractal cauliflower, didn't have much use of it today. Fractal lines, didn't make much use of yet in this series anyway. The faded foliage came in use, There's a mountain range block, which is basically just like a preset pattern of mountain ranges for cartography. Corn husks we used in the corn maze maps. The leaf vine, which hasn't come to, that's more of a tropical sort of angle. We won't see much of it. Works for ferns as well, but we don't have a that's not the right terrain here. The foliage scatterburst, we use that a lot for like flower tips in a distance. The tree line horizon, it's tilted 90 degrees. I don't know why, but it just is. Oh, it's so if I tilt it this way, okay, so you can see here, I can squeeze this down. And so if I have this tree line brush vertical like that, I can squeeze it down so that the trees become more compact. So they're a tighter block. So when you turn it 90 degrees, you have more trees in a denser area, so that it just looks so you can fake being further away by reducing the distance between the trees that way. And then we have the kelp brush, which came in use, the grass blades, which we always use, and then we have distant hedges. And then we just have like a bunch, like all the generic stuff, but that's a separate folder. But yeah, these, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 brushes in that brush set. I won't use all of them this session, but I'll probably use like 6 or 7 of them. But those are the only brushes that I need to make basically any Bob Ross painting that I want. All of them, yeah, they work. They just work. And I developed those by I would pause a YouTube video when Bob would like do an initial tap on the canvas for like shrubbery, for instance. He'd do his first tap and then pull back. I'd pause it, and then I would grab that first stippling. And then I would extract from that stippling like the scatter brush. I would polarize the image, radicalize sharpen the brightness and the contrast between paint and canvas. So it became basically a black and white footprint of what that brush stroke was. And I did that for like a dozen different brush strokes. Like when you do his initial tap on a bush, I grabbed like a dozen of those and looked for some common ideas about how is it replicating, and that's how we came up with the brushes that we came up with, and they work pretty well. But that's the method that we went with it. So if you get into doing brush work yourself, then you can use similar methods. Anyway. That kind of sputtered out. Again, we're using this line of separation here. We're cutting through the background here to form these little ridges back here to add some volume to it. Since we're going to pull all this mass over to the right and bring it into view, I wanted to add another layer of earth. Okay, that's our initial kick. So let's grab that and this. See, eventually the text, that's how much area the text actually takes up. Where's our composition? Yeah. Yeah, something like that. That should actually fit really nicely on the page. Fuck all. This is going to be a fucking cool painting. I already love the sky versus the mountains. That just feels so good. It feels good. So let's keep working. So we have our front edge here, and then we have our shadow as a separate layer here, and we want to duplicate and perpetuate that back here. And I feel like this guy needs to change a little bit first before we get into that, though. So we're going to do some surgery here, cutting along the edge. I wanted to drop this a little bit. God, that feels really, really good. I'm going to merge this down. God, that just feels so good. Pushing up from the canvas at this point into the mountains. Let's drop it down to 20%. That feels pretty good. We'll leave that. We're gonna leave that like that. What I do need to do though, get after some of this. So let's grab our mountain chisel. We also use the mountain chisel for bark. And we're going to grab our mountain razor, and we're going to go to 100% strength on our smudge tool. Because what that does is it allows me to grab and drag the pixels around to create these shapes. See how it does that? I'm just grabbing and just giving them a tug. Just pulling generally in the direction of the slope is generally how I'm doing it. Either up the line like this or down the line like that. Like that or like that. But only like these really small little chop, like little grabs. I don't want to just grab a large block and drag it with me, because the shape of the brush, here I'll show you. That's what it looks like. So whenever I use 100% strength on a smudge brush, like this, like this here, this area over here. This bit over here, like there's this gap here. So it's 100%. It's going to grab pixels here, but it's not going to grab pixels here. So when I'm doing a downward, I can rotate it, and you can see that there's a little bit of warble to it as I get that out of the way. As I move it around, so I can hit like with this like upper tip here. I can hit this angle and drag. I'm using a brush. I can drag this, creating these little lines of separation inside of there. So it chops it up really good. Make it tell me, timer. Where are we at on time? 7:20. We still have 40 minutes left today. We're doing great. Holy shit. We'll be doing this. Probably until Tuesday next week. I'm guessing, maybe Thursday. It'll be a week. We'll finish this. But this is the largest. I think this is the largest space in the entire adventure. But I was talking about Muse talking to me last night when I was going to sleep. I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" She's like, "You should drop an environment painting in here." So, in this back section here, the plan now is, if I can get away with doing some sort of an environment piece, I will do an environment piece, because it does not matter how long it takes to finish an environment piece. I will fall in love with it and work it through. So if my plan is to do as many environment pieces in the appendix as possible, that's going to have me motivated to dive into the next piece. So I will be able to push through this project. And then when we finish a piece, we'll take a break for a couple days. We'll do like maps and stuff like that, and then we'll get back into the next environment piece like this. Environment art is one of the rarest pieces of art that you like. One of the rarest styles that you get in adventures and fantasy illustrations and stuff. Like, just having environments adds a lot of flavor to your adventure, or just to your game in general, just to give people a sense of like what's the world that you're actually living inside of. By creating environment artwork, you're giving people reference to, like, you're thinking about your characters all day, but the DM is trying to think about the world, and providing more environment art allows the DM to think about the world more. I like that. That feels really, really good. All right, second verse, same as the first. Actually, what I want to do is clean up this edge. It's a little fuzzy. Break you down so you're edged out good. A little bit of doctoring. There, that feels good. And then this back line here, we want to clean you up a little bit too. You're looking very wispy. Excuse me, that was a hiccup. Wrong, Kearney. Do not do. Stick to the techniques, son. I am on the verge on a different topic of conversation completely. That's on my mind. I play 10-minute chess on chess.com, and I picked up chess again in August last year, and I am almost 900. I'm stable around 850 plus. So I'm bouncing between 850 and 890 right now. Slowly locking myself down to be able to push into the 900 club. My goal is to get to 1500, and once I do, switch over to playing 5-minute chess. And once I can stabilize myself and push myself past 1500 into, like, say 1600 playing 5-minute chess, I'm going to drop down to 1-minute chess. I like playing chess. I like what it does to my brain. There's something about chess that's interesting, and that you'll come up with a strategy, but you have to think about sequencing your pieces. Like, if I know I need 3 pieces to get this checkmate, how do I need to move these 3 pieces together to get into that position without it falling apart on me? And I have observed a number of times now that I'll have an idea about, like, I see a weakness, but if I exploit the weakness, it leaves me a little bit exposed somewhere else. And what I've been doing recently in my games is covering the weakness before covering my defenses before exploiting the weakness that I pick up. But most of the time when I do that, the players, my opponent's next move is to cover that weakness. So I'm not responding fast enough to the environment. So what I need to do, and hold on real quick, I'm gonna grab this. So what I'm finding is that I have a good idea, but I'm being too cautious about my own board state and being risk averse. And that makes me think, if that's my default perspective, how much of my life am I approaching in being and guarding myself against exposure or risk before being willing to take a chance? And chess is showing me over and over again, it's like, if there's an opportunity, I need to take advantage of it. Otherwise, it's going to take away, even if it makes me feel like I'm exposed or insecure. And that is such an analogy, I think, to life in general. And like, you have to make decisions, and when you make a choice, the world is going to change. When we talk about that in D&D, like good game design, like if you have three plot hooks on an adventure board, and your team chooses one of them, when they come back, the other one can be there, but the other one needs to be gone. To show that whatever choices that you make, there's going to be consequences. Regardless of what you decide to do with the choices you make, opportunities will disappear. But then you replace it with a new opportunity, like you replace it with a new adventure chunk. So one goes away, one stays, you have three, you choose one stays, one is replaced with something else. What happened to that one that you didn't do? Unless your characters pursue it, you'll never know. Someone else went and did the thing, or the kid that was missing came up dead, or adventuring party came along and took care of the Rimmeraz threat, whatever. It gets dealt with one way or another, and your characters weren't involved. That's what makes a breathing world for your campaign, is to present opportunities and then take them away. And this is just a general DMing technique that I've been implementing for at least a decade or two, that I'm well aware of, but never applied it to my own life. Never really considered the reason why it feels real is because it's fucking real. Like, that actually happens, and it's hard to see that. It's difficult to see that when you're just living your life. But there's just something about chess that so many things, like the way that you're thinking about how you play chess is probably how you're thinking about your life in general. And that's something I've really just been geeking out on a lot lately. So I will, like when I'm spending time with family and friends and stuff on the couch, a lot of times I'll throw open a game. Like if I don't care about what's on TV right now, but I'm just spending time with the fam, I'll just throw open a game of chess and throw down and knock that out like in 15 minutes, and then reset and go back into whatever's going on. It's a way for me to step away from. It's a way for me to step away from my life for a moment. And I am in love with how these mountains are turning out. Push that down. So that's really exciting. I just wanted to share that me picking up chess. Something inspired me last year to pick up chess, and it's only just now that I'm really starting to realize this is helping me have a critical look at how am I processing my own life choices in general. So, the end. There you go. Whatever that's worth. Working our way downhill. I feel like I want to work this a little bit more. We're just gonna work this for a little bit. I spend the rest of the session building out these mountains, and then when we come back tomorrow, we'll start working on the tree line in the forest, and then it probably won't take us a full session to do that. So we'll spill into the homestead and the path, and then Friday we'll start working the fields. So on by Monday, Tuesday, we should be done with the fields, and then working the foreground knoll and the rosemary bushes, and then the piece will be done. So finishing by Tuesday feels pretty realistic right now. I'm going to actually grab my cloud brush and pull at this a little bit. Just work some angle into this a little bit more. These mountains back here, I think, are fine. I don't need any change there. It's just this foreground. God, that feels good. This is the mountains are more pronounced, so I want to pay just a little bit more attention to the topography on them. Oh, I love how that's turning out. We're going to take our mountain chisel here. We're going to actually hit the eraser a little bit just to break up the terrain. And then we drag, and then we're going to switch to our chisel, our razor. We're going to push the razor back up to 100%. And we'll just carve at the terrain a little bit here now that we've established a little bit of a gradient. We can go in here and we can break it up a little bit to create some space and size. Bring this down a little bit here. I feel like I just want to cover this over with like another little ridgy bump here. Because I can't use a palette knife the same way that Bob does to whisper across the canvas to drop these little points of separation. I have to actually go through and like pixel by pixel, like meticulously actually work those gaps into the piece, because we don't have the Photoshop the Photoshop brush tools aren't that advanced to be able to it's not, it's the issue is the canvas. It's when you're using actual like vellum canvas, it has like these pock marks. It's a weave. It's a fabric. So it's a weaved fabric, weave fabric. Anyway, but it's a mesh, and everywhere there's a gap in those mesh, that's a depression. That little gap in there, paint falls into that gap. So when you whisper your palette brush across the surface of your canvas, it's skipping those gaps. These little holes in the weave don't catch the paint, which is how Bob is able to get that degree of separation when he just brushes across, just whispers across it, as he says. That's how he gets all those points of separation, because the paint isn't catching those gaps. We don't have gaps. This is a perfectly like a perfectly smooth surface. So we have to generate those. We have to create those gaps ourselves. We have to artificially generate them. So that's what these brushes are designed to do, is to artificially create those gaps for us. Have I word pied that enough yet? Hopefully that makes some sense. So I'll do a gradient to show that fading effect for the lighting condition in the environment. But then I use these hard brushes with the 100% strength smudge to drag the pixel around on a brush that has broken gaps in it. Those gaps, like we were showing, these gaps in the I feel like I just locked up. I feel I need to save. Yeah, it stuttered. Okay, cool. So these gaps that we have in here, that's simulating that wispiness, that whisper touch, that finds the gaps on the canvas. We built a brush that has those gaps built into it already, so that as we paint and smudge, we're faking that effect. We're simulating that effect. Now I'm going to use the chisel brush here to drag, because the chisel's a little bit, I mean, it's literally more pointed, so it interacts with the paint a little bit differently. And again, all these brushes are on my Patreon, which is linked down below. Be welcome to follow and grab them. Yeah. There is a $200 price point for me making environment pieces like this for somebody as a commission. It's cheap and it's easy. I can do one a week. I like to do them on camera. I love doing commissions on camera. One of the things that is a decision of whether I take a commission or not is whether I'm allowed to do it on camera or not. If I'm not allowed to stream the creation of a commission, I am far less likely to take the commission, because I have to stop my own work to work on yours. So I want that to be productive time for me, which means that if I can at least share it on screen as I'm building it, then that's an opportunity for me to, grow audience and stuff like that, and just to share what I'm doing. But it's also, the people that recruit me, I'm getting more and more people interested in me doing that, because it just, if I'm going to spend a week working on a piece, that's a week for me to spend talking about your shit. So it just ends up being a good deal, and you can use it as a point of interest. Like, hey, yeah, this book cover, Phil made it. Here's a link. Check it out if you want to see the process of creation. The book's now available. Blah. It becomes part of the marketing. At least that's how I envision it. I'm going to take this and I'm going to hit it with an eraser, a very light 20% eraser, just to trim down. Because with when you drag pixels around like this, it tends to homogenize it a little bit. It gets rid of that gradient fade that you've been working on. So by hitting it with like a very light eraser, that adds the gradient fade back in. And we're just about done with this section here. Grab this, our cloud brush again, and again working the angles of the mountain to work that fade in. How are we doing on time? 7:40. I've got about 10 minutes left. So we give ourselves 10 minutes. Do the same thing over here. Using the angles. Break that down a bit. Smudge it out. That feels really good. We're going to want to work clouds into the sky. I forgot about that. So we'll be working on that next. And I actually want to grab here. I want to extend this down. I don't need any detail on this, but I do need a shape that separates it from the skyline. Just smudging it into the canvas. Again, it's the same techniques as Bob uses. You have a sharp edge at the top, and then you let it just fade into the canvas. That's how atmospheric disturbance works. There's more grit on the ground, so it creates more haze and obscurement. The further up in the atmosphere you get, the less stuff is up there. The more pure the air, the more pure the color of the air becomes. So it's more transparent. So the tops of the mountains have a cleaner profile than the bottom of the mountains do. It into the canvas. There we go. Oh, God. So cool. Just nudging the composition, the placement a little bit. That feels pretty good. Here and oops. Higher is better. I just wanted to work this color in a little bit here. It was bugging at me. Working this into the canvas. There, that feels pretty good. God damn, that feels really, really good. So that is all. I'm just gonna blend these all in. Merge. Commit. Those feel pretty good. So I can commit to that. Just push down. Over. Rough this up a little bit. Again, sticking to the contours that we already established, I'm just roughing up this texture a little bit because it was a little bit too, it just looked a little bit too smooth, a little unnatural in its smoothness. So I want to create some breaks, and now we'll go back to our cloud brush and we'll smooth this in. 50 bits over here that are gonna get eaten up by the text, so we'll never see them, but we know it's there. We know it's there, and it looks really fucking cool. There, and we'll lift up from the bottom up into the mountains so they can fade a little bit more naturally, and that looks really good. So now we'll add in, let's grab this, and we're gonna grab some more of that with our chisel. Eraser. I am on the wrong layer. That saddens me. following the contours that we made. The general shape that we have. And then we'll take our razor, add 100%. Break it up. There we go, like that. Feeling like maybe what does this button do? Huh. Yeah. Let's take it out. Let's take it to 85%, and then we'll have this one back here be at 70. So let's create a couple different layers here. We want, oops, that needs to be 100%. There we go. Uh-oh. Wrapping up. Well, okay, so we didn't quite get the mountains finished, but hey, I mean, you know, what a surprise. Phil isn't accurately calling how long it takes to do anything. What else is new, right? But the important thing is that we're going to be back tomorrow. And we're going to continue this piece, and I suspect, I said it'd be done by Tuesday, so let's instead say it'll be done by Thursday. I'll probably want to nitpick and get into things and forget about something and be inspired to do something or whatever. I initially thought it was going to be done on Tuesday, so let's just go ahead and assume it'll be done by Thursday. Still, that's really good. I am really, really happy with that, even if that is the case. Just give me I just want to take another few moments here just to get in here and oh god, it feels so good. I love that. Let's be a little less radical. I'm taking an eraser in here and just to break that up a little bit, get in there, make these little effects here. And then we're going to take this one down to 70%. Not bad. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to work the shadow side. So I'm going to bond these all together, merge those layers down. And then we're going to come back through. Work those through. Yeah, so we're gonna come back. We'll work the shadow side of the mountain here. Yeah, so we're gonna come back. We'll work the shadow side of the mountain here. Sorry, my brain is sparking on me here real quick. There. Yeah. So we'll come back. We'll extend this down here, and then we'll work these back here. Then we'll start working the hill lands. Oh man, this looks so fucking good. Once we get those done, then we'll put in the clouds because we'll have our mountain ranges established. So we'll see where our points of contrast need to be for where the clouds can drop in. Because you kind of have to be careful that your clouds aren't blending too closely to the snowy peaks. If you have them too close to each other, they bleed into each other and you lose your separation. So we have to be mindful of that. So actually, doing the mountain line with the snow first is a good way to go in this digital technique, since we can do that. Take advantage of the tools that we have to be able to work with layers separately, so that we can build that in, and then we can work on the foreground, like with this hill and stuff like that. But whoo dilly, I am really happy with this piece. So if you guys think this stuff is cool, anyone that's checking this out, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. My these brush tools that I use. This is going to be such a cool piece. I love doing this stuff. It's so fun. I am really looking forward to the Bastion campaign book, because I think we can do a whole bunch of environment art in that as well. I love doing this shit. All right, I will see you guys. Monday is Wednesday is the only day of the week that I only stream once. So I'll be back tomorrow morning to continue this, and then tomorrow night we'll be back on continuing to convert the Forgotten Realms Unearthed Arcana subclasses into the color mana system that we have with the martial power system. And yeah, thanks for checking it out. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll see you all in the future. Cheers.